Here we are at the close of play on the first day of the test between England and India in Bristol. England finished the day on 269 for 6. I'm Valkerie Baynes and I'm joined by Annesha Ghosh. We're here to take you through what happened today. Heather Knight disappointed to fall for 95, 5 runs shy of her century, which would have come in her 100th match in charge of England as captain. So disappointment there for her, but I mean her knock really did form the linchpin of a really good performance by the top 4 within the England side, actually. Tammy Beaumont made a half century as well with 66, another one that probably would have been disappointed not to press on a bit further, but I think the top 4, as I said, really held things together, and with Knight leading the way. I guess one of the key points is that India got themselves back in the game via their spinners after that great start by England. What was your assessment of how they went, Annesha?
I think the final session turned out to be pivotal to India getting themselves back in the hunt, thanks to debutants Deepti Sharma and Sneh Rana, both off spinners. Them getting the wickets, Deepti first up, getting the wickets of Captain Knight, and then Nat Siver. It was heartening to see the way Deepti Sharma took responsibility, knowing that the pacers were not getting the kind of assistance they aimed for. Remember, the surface was wearing down a little bit. It had pace and carry early on, but as the sessions progressed, we could see that there was drift on offer, there was pronounced grip on offer, which Deepti made absolutely superb use of, as did Sneh Rana.
Yeah, that's right. And speaking of the debutants, a little bit of a surprise perhaps that Shafali Verma was picked in the side, and she took a great catch at short leg to get rid of Beaumont, I think it was. So I mean, she obviously, I mean, that's a tough position to be fielding in. She probably wasn't comfortable the whole time, but she took an absolute screamer, and that must have been a big plus for her on debut.
Certainly. Speaking of the 5 Indian debutants, I personally did not expect that Mithali Raj would pick Shafali Verma for a debut in this game, but she did look uncomfortable fielding at slip early on, and then at short leg, she took a few blows, but then for her to have simply stuck out her hand and completed the low diving catch, it was spectacular to see. Remember, Shafali Verma doesn't have quite a good history with catches. It was at the T20 World Cup final where she famously or otherwise dropped Alisa Healy. So for her to having given India the breakthrough by that fielding effort, it's definitely commendable. And speaking of debutants, England fielded one of their own, and it was a momentous occasion in more ways than one. Can you walk us through Sophia Dunkley's debut, please?
That's right. Yeah, Sophia Dunkley was the one debutante for England, and it was quite a significant occasion given that she becomes the first Black woman to play a test for England. So yeah, that was really special. Heather Knight spoke a little bit about that in her post-match press conference. She said basically Dunkley had made it impossible not to pick her through weight of runs. She was in the setup for a while, and then sort of had about 18 months where she couldn't sort of get back in the side. She came back into the England frame during the West Indies T20 series last summer, the one that they sort of shoehorned in, you know, when things opened up after the pandemic again. And since then, she's sort of been on the radar ever since, and sort of amassing runs. And like Heather Knight said, it was just impossible not to pick her. She is still in. She's not out 12, so she's yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how she goes tomorrow. She's got Catherine Brunt, so a very experienced campaigner at the other end of the crease. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. What was that?
And a fierce one at that, Catherine Brunt.
Fierce one. Totally. So it will be so interesting to see how they get along. So very much looking forward to that, and we will look forward to catching you again tomorrow.